Hello everyone, thank you for watching the video about my learning journey in this course. I'll go ahead and start discussing the 6 projects I completed in the course to help you understand more about what I've learned. Each of my 6 projects that I completed were inspired by my life. Over the past year, I've learned a lot about self-care and how crucial it is to make sure that I'm healthy spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So when I began to brainstorm ideas of what I would be teaching adult learners, I was immediately drawn to self-care. Once I knew that I wanted to focus on self-care, I began to complete more research about self-care and how it could be taught to others. I found resources that I knew would be useful for each part of the projects, along with resources regarding the theories I would be using to create the activities for each program. In order to begin planning the activities for each program, I would use pen and paper to brainstorm creative and fun ways to help educate adults. I referenced the text as well as resources that I located, and I also used my previous experience with being taught self-care practices myself. I thought about what would be most beneficial to help people learn self-care practices. Although each of my projects somehow focused on self-care, each of them were different in their own way, and they were constructed based on the theories that I chose to facilitate the activities. When attempting to implement my projects, I tried to think of ways to engage learners while also being able to easily demonstrate it to the readers of the projects. Implementation was always the most challenging portion of the projects, in my opinion. And I also always have to do a lot of thinking about how exactly I would demonstrate implementation. Some tips I've learned during the process were to include references to the text to ensure that the reader clearly understood the theories presented and that they were able to understand how those theories were being applied in my activities. I also learned how to work with Canvas as well as Blogger during this process. I was familiar with Canvas before, but I never worked with Blogger, so it was really hard for me to figure out the formatting when I would go from trying to have a table in a Word document to then going copy and pasting that and putting in Blogger. And what I learned was that if I created the table in Canvas, it was easier just to copy and paste that table to Blogger from there. Some highlights of my project: I really enjoyed the embodied learning theory. It was really fun for me to complete that project. I like creating the body scan meditation activity. I believe that activity would provide learners with a new self-care practice, but also it would allow them to take part in a new experience, and it was a new experience for me as well when I was creating the activity, and I created a recording of a script that I found for the activity. I also like the idea of having a blindfolded discussion where participants would be blindfolded and discussing issues related to mental health. I thought that this would be really interesting for participants because they would be able to feel like they were in a safe space while discussing, but also they would be forced to use other senses besides sight in order to facilitate their discussion. Also, I'm not an adult educator right now, so I'm not able to apply the theories necessarily that I've learned yet. However, I know that in the future it'll be very helpful for me. Completing these projects helped me understand how to apply these theories and how to attempt to make them work in real life situations. Also, I now have a deeper understanding of how to develop future programs for adults and what's needed to go into those programs to make sure that adults are learning. I didn't use many tools or apps in my projects, but I did use Google a lot as well as the Ball State Library, and I mainly use OneSearch on the website for the Ball State Library. And if you all have any comments, feel free to comment below. Thank you again for watching, and you all have a great day.